The stage lights were bright that night, and thousands of eyes were fixed on BTS, standing in a row with their professional smiles. But the circling cameras captured more than just the perfect choreography or the steady vocals, but something more subtle, something emotional. Beneath the spotlight and cheers, Jungkook's expression was different. There was a slight tension in his jaw, a lingering gaze fixed on one figure, Taehyung. It might have seemed trivial at first. Taehyung laughed heartily, his shoulder touched by another member, their distance slightly closer than usual. But at the same time, the camera caught Jungkook momentarily pausing his smile. His eyes followed Taehyung's every movement, as if there was an inner struggle he couldn't hide. The moment passed quickly, but it was enough to send shivers down the spines of fans. Jealousy isn't an easy emotion to recognize, especially in an idol who's used to controlling his expressions. But Jungkook seemed to forget that the cameras were everywhere that night. His shoulders tensed slightly, his hands clenched and then unclenched, and his breathing deepened. All of that body language spoke more truthfully than words. As Taehyung returned to his position, Jungkook glanced at him briefly. It wasn't an ordinary look. It was a mix of longing, protectiveness, and a vague sense of unease. It was as if Jungkook wanted to make sure Taehyung was okay, but also not entirely happy to see him so close to someone else. That brief moment immediately became a hot topic of conversation. Observant fans began replaying the footage, slowing down every second, analyzing every angle. They saw how Jungkook reflexively tilted his body toward Taehyung, as if trying to close the distance. It was a small gesture, but one filled with meaning for those who had followed Taekook for a long time. Taehyung himself seemed to realize something. His initially wide smile faded slightly as he turned and met Jungkook's gaze. There was a brief pause, a silent connection shared only by the two of them. Taehyung then smiled a small, softer smile, as if signaling reassurance. But it was precisely that smile that complicated Jungkook's expression. Instead of smiling back immediately, he looked down briefly, took a breath, and then lifted his face with a forced neutral expression. This moment left many wondering, what was really going on inside BTS's Magne? In a world full of scripts and rehearsals, spontaneous emotions are rare. That's why this moment felt so real. Jungkook wasn't acting. He was simply a young man feeling something too strong to hide. Jealousy, however slight, seeped through the cracks in his expression. Throughout the show, this dynamic was palpable. Jungkook was seen moving closer to Taehyung, standing slightly closer, their shoulders almost touching. Taehyung also glanced at Jungkook several times, as if confirming his presence. There were no words, no overt touch, just a mutually reinforcing presence. Fans felt the sweet tension. Social media was filled with video clips, screenshots, and layered theories. For some, it was simply a moment of friendship. For others, it was evidence of deeper emotions, emotions that had previously only been guessed at from small interactions. What made this moment so powerful was its honesty. There was no dramatic dialogue, no confessions. Just glances, body language, and spontaneous reactions. That's precisely why it all felt so real and touching. Jungkook is known for being cheerful and full of energy. But that night, another side of him emerged. A more sensitive, more possessive, and more vulnerable side. The camera may have only captured a few seconds, but the impact was felt for the audience. Taehyung, in his own way, seemed to understand. He didn't shy away, nor did he overdo it. He was simply present, standing his ground, as if to say that everything was okay. That silent interaction was the essence of Taekook's moment, which caused a stir. Ultimately, Jungkook's jealousy isn't something to be denied. It's a natural part of human emotion, especially in such a close relationship. And when that emotion is captured on camera, it transforms into a story that continues to be talked about. This moment reminds us that behind their global status and grand stage presence, they are still human beings with real feelings. Jungkook and Taehyung, with their brief expressions, seem to convey more than 1,000 words. And for fans, that's what makes Taekook always feel alive and full of mystery.